all been in a situation where when somebody doesn't like us back, we tend to like them. And when somebody likes us, we tend to not like them back. And it causes us to question, why is that? Why is it that people who are cold tend to be so attractive? And people who are warm tend to push people away. So in this video, we're going to talk about why cold men and women tend to attract so many people into their lives, why they're so sticky, and why they tend to create in us a sense of insecurity that makes us want to impress them, that makes us want to chase them, right? So if you're watching this video is more of an encouragement, not to be mean, not to be cold, but to adapt certain traits, especially if you're someone who's considered to be nice or warm, and somebody who some people might say lets other people take advantage of them, because that's how I tend to be sometimes. I'm more of a nice person. I'm more of a warm, fuzzy person on the inside. And so because of that, I tend to sometimes let people take advantage of me because I want people to like me back, right? So we're going to explain why those types of people are so attractive and what you can do to apply that in your life. So don't forget, we're having 50% off all of my courses using the coupon code BLACK and coupon code FRIDAY, one of the two. All of my courses, not the bundle. So that means you can purchase my new courses, the Emotional Mastery and the Charisma Blueprint, and all the other previous courses at 50% off by only this month and next month. And you guys can get 20% off my coaching calls using the coupon code BLACK and use coupon code FRIDAY, one of those two, to get 20% off my one-on-one coaching calls, okay? So let's begin. Look. The first thing is that they are a challenge. They're a challenge. They represent to us a lot of the times people who hurt us, because the people who didn't like us back left a hole inside of us. And that hole tends to manifest itself that whenever we see somebody who doesn't like us, whenever we see someone who's not fully investing in us, it tends to activate that hole, that mechanism. And just like a baby who when you put a nipple in front of the baby, it starts sucking. The same thing, whenever we see someone who's cold, we start sucking. Metaphorically, we start chasing because we have a need that have not been met. So we tend to just want to win them over. For example, I once went to a school many years ago. I went to a photography school where people just didn't like me there. Like, I've been in two places where I felt like I wasn't liked. It was in that place was also one of those places, the photography school. And I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to quit, but I didn't want to quit because I wanted to win them over. I remember that. I didn't want to quit because I wanted to win them over. And yes, people, I was a photographer at one point. I did photography for like a year. And I remember just not wanting to quit because I wanted to win them over. The more they didn't like me, the more insecure I felt. And naturally, when I feel insecure, I like to give. I like to make people happy. And so that mechanism of them being a challenge, in hindsight, was kind of insane, but that's how a lot of people react to coldness. They react to coldness by seeing that as a challenge, when rather than seeing it as a challenge, you got to see that as a cue, as a note, as a sign to pull away. The next thing is that they activate the scarcity effect in us. The scarcity effect suggests that when something is less available or harder to attain, it becomes more desirable. When someone is cold or indifferent, it creates a sense of scarcity. And so because of that scarcity, it's a psychological thing that we're all privy to. Every single person is privy to the scarcity principle. That when something is not that available, when something's scarce, it naturally raises its value, right? And so cold people tend to be inconsistent. Cold people tend to be late to a lot of the meetups. Cold people aren't even emotionally completely there. And so we can sense that they're not present. And rather than us assessing that they don't like us, we take that as a hit to our self-esteem. And rather than letting that go, we feel like they stole self-esteem from us. And so we try to win them back. When in reality, we should just let them walk away, right? Because what's happening is a scarcity principle. And you have to look through that. You have to trust that if it's scarcity principle that's causing you to chase, you have to trust that they're not really as valuable as your mind is making them to be. Because as soon as you have them, if you're attracted to them because of the scarcity principle, as soon as you have them, you're gonna lose interest in them. The next one is that it gives you a sense of control. Right? Because by you dating somebody, by you being attracted to people who are cold, sometimes by them being cold and distant, it gives you some sense of independence. So a lot of times people are attracted to cold people, to distant men and women, simply because the cold people give them that space, give them that distance, give them that freedom to do what they want to do. But what happens is that when you tend to fall in love, now you're stuck. Now you are in love with someone who wants distance. When you just liked it in the beginning because maybe they gave you some sense of freedom, but now that you love them, you want to bridge the gap. But now you can't bridge the gap because you start to realize that that's actually their nature. That's who they really are. And you can't get any closer. And so that'll frustrate you and put you back into the first step, which is they become a challenge to you. People, love shouldn't be a challenge. Love should be something that you enjoy. It shouldn't be something that you should that you should win them over, which you should. It should be something that you should just impress them. Not win them over, but impress them. Continually trying to impress them, not continually trying to win them over. The next thing is that it gives you a sense of familiarity. People may be drawn to partners who display coldness if they have experienced similar dynamics in their past relationship and family environments. These patterns of behavior can become familiar and therefore comforting, even if they're not healthy, right? So that means some people believe that showing love is to abuse, showing love is to hurt, right? And some people believe that love is to try to win someone over. Love is to try to gain someone's love, when in reality, it should be to enjoy the love that they give you, right? But unfortunately, some people are used to cold people. And some people, when they meet someone who's healthy for them, when they meet someone who's warm, they get turned off. And they tend to self-sabotage those types of relationships,
Some
right?
individuals who have been accustomed to being with cold or emotionally unavailable partners may feel uncomfortable when they encounter someone who actively validates and shows genuine care for them. This discomfort can stem from various reasons and patterns of behavior. When someone is used to being with cold partners, they may have developed a belief that love and affection are scarce or difficult to obtain. As a result, they may have adapted to seeking validation through the pursuit of attention and affection. This pattern often involves fighting for the attention and affection of their partner to feel valued and desired. However, when they encounter a partner who readily validates them without requiring a fight for attention, it can disrupt their established patterns and create feelings of unease. This can be because they may associate the need for validation with the excitement and intensity of the chase. The absence of the need to fight for attention can make some individuals lose interest or feel uncertain about the relationship. They may subconsciously equate the lack of challenge with a lack of fulfillment or excitement. The absence of a familiar struggle may leave them questioning the authenticity of the relationship or doubting their own desirability.
And so a lot of us, unfortunately, never had perfect childhoods. And because of that, we tend to be attracted to people who are completely imperfect, which is nothing wrong with that, but imperfect in the wrong way. It's one thing to have your flaws, but it's another thing to have a flaw where you can't express emotions and it makes your partner feel insecure, right? And so a lot of people watching this, including myself to a certain degree, get attracted, are familiar with coldness. We are familiar with people who don't tell us how we feel, who don't express themselves. We are familiar with closed communication. But then when you meet someone who's open, who has an open way of communicating, who expresses their emotions to you, a lot of people will feel uncomfortable and push those people away, right? And so that's why a lot of people get attracted to cold people, because cold people gives them that familiarity, that comfort of not being close, that comfort of lack of intimacy. And it tends to create a bigger dynamic where whenever you meet someone who can actually make you happy, you're going to push them away. The next one is that the nonverbal cues of cold people are attractive. The nonverbal cues of cold people tend to be more blasé, more distant, and more dominant, right? They tend to be more open. Then they may not even make as much eye contact. When they respond to you, they respond slower. When they speak slower because they're so relaxed and even bored to a certain extent. They're nonverbal. Their voice tone is more relaxed, more like this. It's not tense. It's not seeking validation. And so their frame, their nonverbal frame, tends to be gravitational. It tends to have a gravitational pull. It tends to lure you in towards them. And that's why some nonverbal cues of cold people are things that we have to almost like be observant and learn from, because those nonverbal cues are attractive. Those nonverbal cues do work. Those nonverbal cues make someone seem super needy, appear super strong and confident, right? So you're a human animal and you react to nonverbal cues. If you encounter somebody that's cold and you have deep insecurities, you're gonna chase them. And that's the issue with cold people. is that cold people tend to attract the people who annoy them the most. Warm motherfuckers, Melissas. Hey man, Melissa's annoying the living hell out of me, man. Get that goddamn girl away from me, goddamn it, right? Another reason is that cold people tend to confirm your bias, that you believe you deserve this. You don't believe that you deserve to be loved. You don't believe that you deserve affection. So a lot of people then accept halfway lovers, accept halfway love, accept halfway affection. And if you ever get the full love that a person should get, a lot of the times you're going to self-sabotage because you don't believe you deserve this. Now, this is at the deeper level. This is something that you might hear me say, but you might not believe it. But this is actually true. It's called imposter syndrome, where you don't believe you deserve it, you don't believe you belong. And so when it comes to love, a lot of the times when we get the love of our lives, when we get somebody that loves us and they're warm, because we have low self-esteem, we push them away. But whenever we meet someone that's toxic, that doesn't love us the way we should be loved, that is abusive, that doesn't give us complete love and complete intimacy and complete openness, we tend to be attracted to them, because a lot of the times deep down, that's what you believe you deserve. And your body believes you deserve that. You may not be consciously aware of it, but that's what your body believes it deserves. And so that's why it gets attracted to that. That's why you're attracted. That's why people who, if you're not, attractive people are attracted to attractive people. Unattractive people are attracted to unattractive people, right? It's almost like you kind of know where you belong. And so it's not going to let you be attracted to anything lower than that. It's almost like the same thing. You kind of believe that this is where you belong. This is the type of relationship that you belong in. The next one is that you're a people pleaser. People pleasers are attracted to cold people. I just let it, because cold people trigger our insecurities. I'm a people pleaser, right? And so whenever I meet people that are cold, they do that to me. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna love them. But what that means though is that my ego is gonna be challenged, and it's gonna cause me to chase, not love them, but chase. Because as soon as I get someone that's cold and warm them up, I notice in my experience that whenever I get someone who's usually cold attracted to me, a lot of times I end up not being attracted to them, because what I was really attracted to wasn't them. It was more of like a projection mechanism that gets turned off as soon as they stop acting cold. And another thing is that the hot and cold dynamic. The hot and cold. When you're hot today and cold, it creates a pendulum swing that causes people to chase. I even have a video about the hot and cold method. And
if you notice, a lot of times if you notice in the past that falling in love with, they may have used this. Notice the most addictive relationships are the one with a lot of highs and a lot of lows. That has the hot and the cold. Those are the most addictive. Those are the ones that we remember the most. It's not the ones that we love the most, but the ones that cause us the most pain and cause us the most pleasure that we remember the most. You see, that's why we love roller coasters. We love that kind of relationship. That's why humans are mad, are crazy in nature, all right? Now, using a hot and cold method is the best way to sow confusion and desire inside a person's heart. And also, it sows a lot of weaknesses. It makes people feel weak around you. It makes people want to abide with whatever you tell them to do. You see what I'm saying? It makes guys.
The hot and cold method does work. And unfortunately, people who have a cold personality, men and women who are cold, who push people away, who have an assertive nature to them, they tend to apply the hot and cold. One day they're warm and the next day they're affectionate. The next day they're cold. And that type of hot and cold dynamics makes people emotional, because you're not unpredictable. And that unpredictability causes people to chase you more, causes people to pursue you more, causes people to get more consistency from you. Whenever you're not consistent, people make more effort to make you more consistent. That's why inconsistency is such a powerful strategy that I don't recommend, but it's something that really does work, and something that you have to be aware of. Anytime you're seeing inconsistency from people, you have to counter their inconsistency with consistent coldness until they get consistent. And the next one is that cold people just activate people's imagination. It's just that simple, people. Cold people make people insecure. Cold people make people wonder, why don't you like me? Why don't you chase me? The coldness makes people think why you're doing that. It makes people ask questions, right? And it also makes people self-reflect. It makes people imagine more, right? Because it's the coldness that makes people want to gravitate towards warmth. And so whenever you're cold, all people are imagining is turning you over, making you warmer, is seeing your positive side. In fact, whenever one day you're not cold and you're warm and you're kind of nice to them, All of a sudden, they think that you're the nicest person in the world because they want to believe it. They want to believe that you're nice. They want to win you over. So they're clinging on to any semblance of hope.
Cognitive bias caused by rose-colored glasses or the halo effect can make it difficult for individuals to see red flags in their partners. The halo effect refers to a cognitive bias where a person's overall positive impression of someone influences their judgment of that person's specific traits or actions. In the context of relationships, the halo effect can cause a person to overlook negative behaviors or traits in their partner because they are so focused on the positive qualities that they see. For example, if someone sees their partner as kind and caring, they may overlook signs of possessiveness or jealousy because they believe that their partner's behavior is coming from a place of love and concern. Similarly, if someone sees their partner as successful or attractive, they may be more likely to overlook negative traits such as selfishness or lack of empathy. The rose-colored glasses phenomenon refers to the tendency for individuals to view their partner or relationship through an overly positive lens. When people are in the early stages of a relationship, they may be so infatuated or enamored with their partner that they overlook red flags or warning signs. These cognitive biases can cause individuals to ignore red flags or warning signs that are present in their relationship, which can lead to problems down the road. To combat these biases, it's important to maintain perspective and stay aware of any negative behaviors or patterns in the relationship.
Right? And the power of coldness is that it causes people to imagine the worst and imagine the best, right? They imagine that you're going to leave them, but they also imagine whenever you give them any positive signs, they tend to then go run with it and imagine a complete positive, happy ending, right? And that's why insecure people just tend to fall prey to cold people. It's just how it is. And we have to be careful with that. We have to find a way to control our emotions. And that's why I recommend having a deep meditation practice. By you having a meditation practice, you can potentially insulate yourself from this natural human flaw that we all have, which is we are attracted to cold people. Right? Develop a meditation practice. Read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Purchase my course, Emotional Mastery, at 50% off. Or go to a meditation retreat, a Vipassana 10-day silent retreat. I can promise you, anybody who does a 10-day silent retreat, this will not be an issue. Oh, and one more thing about cold people. They never come back. Cold people never come back. Cold people have too much pride. Cold people tend to have a lot of just general pride in that if they feel like coming back to you, they just will never come back. Sometimes they don't feel emotions. Sometimes they never really loved you. Sometimes they're not even capable of loving you. I'm not saying that cold people are narcissists. I'm just saying that cold people are people who don't like you. Cold people are just people who don't like you, but are tolerating you. So those types of people just never come back. And sometimes you might think that somebody's cold, but in reality, they just don't like you. And that person might get you obsessed with them, but that same person might be so warm with somebody else that the other person's cold and they're warm, and now the dynamics are reversed. But that's just one thing about cold people is that they never come back. So as a result, you never get that validation. And a lot of people, they can't sleep at night knowing that somebody knowing that somebody doesn't want them back, and so they just start doing more to chase after them, especially if they're highly insecure. You know, it's something that I've noticed. Cold people who I liked and they never liked me back, they never came back. So it's either you come back or they'll never come back to you, one or the other. In other words, you're either going to chase or you're never going to see them again. All right. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is why cold people tend to finish first a lot of the times, right? In fact, cold people are deemed more competent. Cold people are deemed more professional. Like if you meet someone and they're cold but they're professional, you're gonna see them as more professional. You're gonna see them as more able. There's something about warm people that just comes across as weakness, right? So when you're at a job, that's why being professional a lot of times means being cold, and not in a bad way, but in a professional way, like a coldness, like a seriousness. Seriousness is coldness, right? And that's why serious people are respected. So there is a place to be cold. There is a place to be cold, not too cold, but cold enough to where you are a serious person. But when it comes to the place of love, a lot of times that coldness isn't really merited. And that's why a lot of the times the people who have, you know, lonely lives make great bosses, because they just have this coldness that causes people to gravitate towards them, to respect them, to fear them, right? Causes fear. But also that fear causes a lack of intimacy between them and other people, where they're respected, but they're not loved, right? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is my new apartment, by the way. I'm in Mexico City. If you guys ever want to work with me one-on-one, go to mindfulattraction.org, and I'll see you guys later. I gotta go to New York right now, so this is bullshit.